Guys, I'm. Could you guys just move forward? I don't bite, and neither does Stone. Please move closer. Karen, don't let me have to come get you. With anchor chains and everything. Come on, guys, move up something. If I was giving away $1,000,000, you all be in my face. Yeah, exactly. Uh huh. JR's upstairs. JR, turn off that fan. Right on the wall next to you. The switch. Come on, guys. Dante, don't be afraid. You're a former Marine. Come on up. Elder Rank. No, we have enough mics. We have 3 already. More people are coming, but I don't want to hold you. Okay. 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 Hama? Cop card. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Thanks for asking for your cop card. This is the head of our conference's security and risk. Yeah. He's in charge of our risk management. Come on in, guys. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. He'll tell you what those are all about. Yeah. I would like to thank all you guys that are here already. I know there's more people coming, but I'm a person that likes to start on time. I get that from my mom, and most of all that I get it from Jesus, because Jesus came right on time. And he's going to return right on time. Ready or not, he's coming. And if you're not ready, oh well. That's right. So we're going to open up in prayer, and I'm going to introduce our guests. And he has a lot of vital information to share with you guys. And how long have we known each other? About a year and a half, 2 years now? 2 years, yes. So let's open up in prayer. Father in heaven, once again, by the merit of your Son, Jesus Christ, who is Lord and Savior of humanity, we thank you so much, dear Lord, for life. We thank you for the ultimate sacrifice that you did for us, dear Lord, on the cross over 2,000 years ago. As we come together, dear Lord, to discuss this program, Father God, we pray that you would not only be with us, but you would hasten the footsteps of those that are still on their way and allow them to get here safe and sound. Lord, the world is changing, and sadly to say, is not changing for the better. And we need to know not only our rights as a people, we also need to know how to speak to others so that things do not escalate. When all is said and done, we want to be able to go home safe and sound. We ask these things not because there's anything good in us, but because of the goodness of our wonderful Savior, Jesus Christ, and for his sake. Amen. Stone and I, we met almost 2 years ago at a seminar teaching about gun safety. And I wanted to bring him in a while back, but then the pandemic hit, and there was all kinds of, hurdles and so on and so forth. But he's been here before, and he's done the active shooter program himself and his other partner, T-Buzz. I thought she was going to be here too, but obviously she's probably traveling, because she goes all around the country doing these presentations and safety seminars for churches and anything you can name underneath the sun. Boston State Police. Boston Police. Okay. And I'm glad that I met him and we became friends because he has a lot to teach us. Not only about safety among a group like this, but also safety individually. He's also a well-expert firearm trainer. So for those that want to learn private lessons, this is your man. And I know how some of us feel about firearms and things of that nature. See, people kill people. Guns don't kill people. Because you can't say to the gun, pick up and shoot. It won't do it. But you should know your rights on how to protect yourself, which is vital, especially in this age. I'm glad some more of the young people are coming in. Hello, hey, Casey. So we're going to have him back again every month for the next 6 months doing different programs. He also does, one-on-one for women that wants to learn defense, how to protect yourself. You hear about all the things that's going on, carjacking, children snatching, you name it. That's the world we're living in now, and it's scary. But if you know how to defend yourself and not be a target, you could go home safe. I tell my wife all the time, sometimes she listens, sometimes she doesn't, not to go to the gas station at night. It's dangerous. And I'm not saying you ladies cannot take care of yourself, but even some guys cannot take care of themselves and whatnot. They're snatching men and women. Children trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar system. It makes more money than drugs. See, I can sell you a piece of drug, and that's just for that one person. But if I snatch you up, ladies, gentlemen, you guys could be used 15 times in one day, making 15 times the money for these people. Yeah, they don't care. So I want you guys to listen to what this gentleman has to say to you guys. And then you could ask questions. You want questions after, or do you want questions throughout the interactions?
Let's do it as we go.
Okay.
And if I have to slow you down to get on to the next, then we can do that at the time.
Okay. So you could ask questions as we go. Okay? Stone?
All yours. Good. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And first of all, thank you for thinking enough of your own personal safety to come today. Because when it's all said and done, you are your own first responder. Yes, we're encouraged to call law enforcement and the police department, but there's some things that we can and should be doing before they get there. What if they get there too late? So we have to be responsible for our own personal safety and security as it relates to situational awareness, so that if we can see the train coming a mile down the track, then we have time not to be there when the train gets there to run us over. So before we go into the program, which we're going to call it the Safe Teens Project, the information is for everybody. But Gary and I met under the auspices of firearms training and safety. And I get it. Some people are not gun people. I'm not a gun person. I am a person who is interested in making sure that you know how to be safe around a firearm, whether it's yours or not. People say, well, I don't have a gun, so I don't need that training. Yeah, you do. You need to know when you are in the company of somebody that is being irresponsible with a firearm. Now, I get on a daily basis, Stone, I want to learn how to use a firearm, but I'm afraid of it. I get it. That's what we're here for. We're here to move you from where you are to where you want to be as it relates to firearm safety training. I'm going to give you 3 little compartments of what you need to think about when you think of guns. There's a lot of tentacles about it. Here's the first, safety. Can you manipulate the firearm safely enough on your own so that you won't hurt yourself, people around you, or tear up your own property? You must know that, whether you own a gun or not. The second one is the legal boundaries. Do you know where you can carry it? When you can carry it? what are the legalities? Do I need a permit? There's a lot of talk about what's called permitless carry here in the state of Georgia, where the governor says, now you don't need a gun permit to carry a gun in the state of Georgia. That's a problem. Other states mandate that if you're going to carry a gun and get a gun permit, you must show some level of proficiency with that gun, just like your car, before you can have one. The third component is, the only thing left is how proficient do you want to be with that tool? Do you want to be able to shoot the wings off a fly at 90 feet? I can show you. I can get you there. But the first two, the safety and the legalities, are a must for every American citizen. Again, maybe not because you want to be around a firearm, but those people that you are around, you need to know whether you can be safe and within the legal constraints of what they are doing, because we talked about a little earlier when I was here. If a person does something illegal in my company and I am with him or her, I can be charged with similar crime. So let's put the gun side, gun talk away, and talk about the Safe Teens Project. I was a law enforcement officer in the city of Boston, way back when most of you were just a twinkle in somebody's eye. And I moved from there and I worked for Memphis Shelby County Sheriff's Department. Those were the most valuable experiences. Yes. I'm sorry. That better? Yes. Thank you. My law enforcement experience taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about how to deal with people who may not know what is expected of them as it relates to the law. Many of our law enforcement officers are great people, but they're human. They have biases for and against something. I don't care who you can point to, all of us are hypocrites about something at some point in our lives. As a law enforcement officer, it taught me that sometimes my doing the right thing in the company of law enforcement officers was not received well by other law enforcement officers. That's a problem. So now, as it relates to my being a private citizen and learning how to interact with law enforcement officers so that it is best received by them, is what we need to know and what we need to teach our children. Okay, Law School for Teens. There's 4 programs under it. First one is Law School for Teens, where we teach our young people about the laws that hover over our head on a daily basis and how to interact with law enforcement, whether we are stopped in a car, on the street, or if they knock on our door. Many of us say, well, I know my rights. I would challenge that. How do you know your rights? Are you an attorney? Are you a lawyer? Let me ask you this. I learned this fairly recently. Do y'all know the difference between a lawyer and an attorney? I thought they were the same thing too. Here's the deal. You go to school, law school, to become a lawyer. You want to say it? Say it. Come on up here. Come on up here. This is a we thing. Come on. Talk about a lawyer.
The lawyer, you go to school to become a lawyer, but in order to become an attorney, you have to pass the state board.
Thank you. They are not interchangeable. A lawyer can be an attorney only if they are approved by the state bar. So when you go home and your mother asks you what you learned in school today, you can tell her that, okay? I know the difference between a lawyer and an attorney. Okay, Law School for Teens, where we teach our youth how to interact with law enforcement, something about the laws that hover over our heads on a daily basis. The next one is Secrets of College and University Life. Many of us are sending our kids off to schools, both domestic and internationally, And we don't know the scope of what they are going to be exposed to. The nuances that if you go to some countries, extending your hand to a woman to shake her hand is a violation of societal codes. So the premise is, and I'm just scratching the surface of each one of these classes because I want to get to your questions. I was invited to Georgia State many years ago. It's probably been 6 years ago, because they were having a problem with their freshmen having their computers and their cell phones stole from them on campus. So I went and I sat on a bench at 10 o'clock at night just to see who and what I could see in terms of what the students were doing. And I saw students with their laptop open and their headphones on, walking across campus in the dark. So I get it. Have you guys ever heard about the little story about the country mouse goes to the city? I liken that circumstance to what those kids were doing. They had no idea that it's not okay to leave your doors open. It's not okay for you to walk across town with your headsets on and your laptop open, because that's where you came from. You think it's okay everywhere. No, there are people that are looking and waiting for you to show yourself as a victim. Okay, Secrets of College and University Life. Gary briefly talked about human trafficking. Human trafficking is a huge thing that is happening on our campuses more than the colleges want to tell you about. I spoke to one gentleman, I'm not sure where he is. Those of you, never mind whether they're going to college or not, I want you to find on your own, because I want you to participate in your own learning, a CNN documentary called The Hunting Ground. Now, I'm going to say it again. It's called The Hunting Ground. You can Google it. It's a movie made by CNN, and it tells you all the atrocities that are happening on our college campuses. Oh, not just white college campuses, so stop. Our HBCUs have similar problems. I graduated from North Carolina Central University. I get it. But again, we need to think of how can we prepare our youth to go out of the nest, to live, study, travel, work, and play domestically and internationally. What we're talking about are skills, survival skills that you cannot learn in a classroom. If those of us who are kind of plugged into what's going on, where people are being tricked, conned, and intentionally misled for the use of another person, we need to get that information out. I'm good with the little cliches. How about an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure? Does that make sense? Okay, so we talked about Law School for Teens. We talked about Secrets of College and University Life. Now we're going to talk about Before Fun Turns Fatal. In that class, first of all, we're going to certify you in CPR. We're going to teach you and have discussions about distracted driving. Okay, how many know that it is illegal for you to hold your cell phone in your car and talk out by putting it up to your ear? Pass the word. Now, can that police officer see you when you're parked on the side of the road and come up to you and question you because he sees you and you're stopped? Is that a possibility? Yes. So what I'm saying is we want to practice and give you some ideas and suggestions and allow you the opportunity to role play some of these things that we're talking about as we progress down our 6-month road. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I got a question. So why do they not teach us like stuff like this in like our in high school, like our second, or not our second, our third or last year of high school, why don't they teach us this?
I wish I knew the answer to that, because it's needed. Yes? Got an answer? What's your name, sir? Tell
My
us.
name is Mr. Williams, Corey Williams. I'm an educator, but it's elementary school, you know. But either way, you guys eventually get that big. Anyhow, I will say that unfortunately, schools are also in line with the prisons. And I can tell from third grade, those tests that those students take, it lets me know who will be a criminal by the time they're your age in third grade. Because our minds, the way God made us, we're creatures of habit. And so if by third grade you're not reading, you don't know math, you're struggling, and you're always in trouble, most likely it will lead to that. And I'm saying that because when it comes to getting our people, our community, informed, prisons make money, and the world is about money. That's what this whole world is about. And as Christians, we are kind of supposed to function in that, but be on the outside of that. That's what it's saying in the word, be of the world, but not in the world. And so we don't understand that kind of thinking, because we're like, no, I would try to help our young people and keep. That's why church is where you need to be. I tell young people, you need to be in church, because here is where these people are looking out for you. They may talk about how, you know, you're outside and you should be in the sanctuary and all this stuff, but I'm going to tell you right now, here is looking out for your interests, because that world out there, they do not care about us. So
Thank you. There's a term that this gentleman just mentioned, and there's a name for it. It's called the school to prison pipeline. It is, Google it yourself so that you know it for yourself. Folks, the things that I'm touching on here, please do your own research so that for yourself, you have a sense of not only what it is, but where to find it, that information, and pass it on to other people. So whatever it is that you learn that is of good report in this sanctuary, whether I'm here or not, please pass it on to other people. So I'm going to expand just a little on what this brother had to say. There are people who do studies that determine how many prisons to build based on the grades that individuals are getting, not just black children, all children. And based on that number, they said, okay, you know what? These children got this low amount of grade level achievement. It is more likely than not they're going to end up in a prison. We need to build enough prisons for them to come to us so we can make money off of them. Private prisons, who said it? Has anybody ever heard of the Corrections Corporation of America? You can buy stock in the Corrections Corporation of America and make money. A few years ago, there was a juvenile court judge in Philadelphia who was arrested because he had stock in Corrections Corporation of America, and it was determined that he was assigning punishment and time in those prisons to those children so that he could make more money. So, are we supposed to trust our judicial system? They want us to. Are we supposed to trust our law enforcement? Yes, but are they people too? Do they have biases for and against certain things, people, person, places, and things? You cannot escape your humanity. I don't care who you are, I don't care how smart you are, you cannot escape your humanity. Why don't they do it? There's some people who do not mean students well, who travel and work amongst us on a daily basis, and they don't make themselves known. But to his point, we live in a capitalist society where businesses are in place to make money. Our government is in place to make money. So, don't let me even begin to tell you that I know all the answers. I do not. I'm here to share information and experiences that I have had that hopefully will be of some help and give report to you. Okay, back to law school for teens. We talked about law school for teens, we talked about secrets of college and university life, we talked about before fun turns fatal, where we talk about dating, safe dating, situational awareness, where we can give you specific questions to ask about a person that you may consider dating. I'm not talking about just where you came from, with your parents, what kind of school, no. Different questions that you can ask people that will lead you to an answer that you can say, you're not the one for me. I have tons of resources that I want to share with you, and thank you, Gary, for inviting me and allowing me the opportunity to make it available. The last course that we have under Safe Teens Project is the, what's the last one? You remember? I've got it written down. The last one is avoiding social media traps. So why y'all moaning and groaning? Why does that hit a chord with some of you?
Okay, so you go on social media to check one thing, or you might get a message or an alert. And I know for me, I get on there, and before you know it, an hour or two goes by, just like that. And it's a waste of time.
Do you think that that might be by someone's design?
I believe so, yes. Enemy all bound.
So all of this stuff that's going on with our developments in technology, in this tool that we carry around that most of us seem not to be able to put down. Someone has an agenda in why they're doing so. Obviously, somebody's making some money. But here's what I want to talk about. The stuff that our youth are posting on their Facebook, on their Instagram, that's having them lose their scholarships, lose opportunities for employment. And I hear people say all the time, well, Stone, I erased it. No such thing. Computer forensics. Just because you erased it by hitting delete, it is still on your computer, if not on your computer, in somebody else's database. That our law enforcement community and our government knows how to go and find. Quick question. Who's heard of the dark web? Who knows how to access the dark web? Say again? Yes? Anybody know somebody tell me what the dark web is for? Say again? Inappropriate, illegal postings. So the stuff that Facebook isn't going to allow you to do, you can go on the dark web and have at it. Human trafficking. When we do our little seminar on human trafficking, because a lot of people think that human trafficking is just having uh, they think of the sexual part, but it is way deeper than that. Okay, those are the 4 programs that are under the Safe Teens project that I have put together, because I found that at top of the list for requests is law school for teens. So, who does not have a COP card? The people that came in, would you? I gave to her. Okay, you got them? I gave to her. Okay. They all have it. Now, there's small writing on that COP card, but somebody open it up. I can't see it either. Somebody read number 1, please. And so we developed what's called COP cards to help our youth and adults, because we need it too. Okay, so when the cops pull you over in your car, or you're walking down the street and they say, hey lady, where are you headed? And they don't have a real reason other than to try to find a reason to stop you. Let's talk about the car thing first. We're going to talk about for the adults. Yes, sir. Somebody raise their hand? Okay. I'm not an attorney. This is not legal advice. But what I do want you to know is there's a difference between governmental laws and constitutional rights. When we interact with our law enforcement community, we have certain rights that allow us not to have to answer questions or subject ourselves to unreasonable searches. So here's how it goes before we get into the card. Officer, I know you're just trying to do your job, but I don't answer questions and I don't consent to searches. Period. The end. Be quiet. So one of the things that we talk about in one of our little sayings is, we all have the right to remain silent. Most of us don't have the ability to remain silent. Right? Because we think the more we talk to this cop and tell him or her why we did and did not, it's going to help us. Nope. What you say, here's how the cliche is written and what the cops were going to say. Well, what you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. They just may well take it out and just say, what you say is going to be used against you. Can you lie to a police officer? You better not. It is illegal for you to lie to a police officer. Can police officers legally lie to you? Unfortunately so. Police officers, look, I love my law enforcement community for those people who are of good report. But for those people who are mistreating people, don't know the law, but tell you that they do. That's why we need us and need to teach us and practice amongst ourselves how to hopefully successfully interact with law enforcement. Yes, sir.
If you're driving a car and they ask to see your driver's license, do you have to show your driver's license?
Yes, sir.
If you're a passenger in the car, do you have to show ID?
It depends on what that passenger is doing. So that's where it gets muddy. If a police officer, it depends on why they're stopping you. Let's say you have a taillight out, and they pull you over and say, okay, you got a taillight out. Let me show me your license, registration, so that we can identify who you are and you can be on your way. Give them that information. But when they start asking you questions like, where are you coming from? Where are you going? What part of town are you from? Do you know people here? Officer, thanks for what you do for us, but I don't answer questions. But what we don't want you to do is to make it, oh, I know my rights. you are heading down the wrong path.
Hi, I have a question. Do you, in general, because of course you cannot answer for everyone, but in general, why is it that we see incidences where, you know, white officers seem to react so much more aggressively toward, you know, blacks that they stop, where, you know, conversely, when they stop a white person, they seem a lot calmer and more agreeable?
Don't you hate that?
I do.
So, there's racial profiling, there's racial bias, for and against. I'm going to answer your question to the best of my ability, and I just said it. We don't know what's in the mind of that officer. They don't know what is in the mind of that driver. Let me give you an example. A call goes out to all law enforcement officers. Green Mustang convertible just shot and killed one of our officers. Here you come in a green Camaro convertible. Might they be a little hesitant about approaching you? Is that a reasonable thing to expect, that I don't know who this is? Maybe it was a Camaro, maybe it was a Mustang, I don't know, but I'm gonna treat it. Why? Because I'm just a police officer trying to go home at the end of my shift. So, to your question, I don't know what's in the hearts of others. I don't know what bias that particular officer that is showing up just because I have a tail light out has on his or her mind.
But black officers seem to not overreact, I guess is what I want to say. Just in general, of course, whether it's an illegal set of circumstances or it's just something simple that all of a sudden escalates. Because, I mean, I have my own theory about why, but I just want to.
I get it. I get it. I don't have any statistics, but I know personally, and I hate to say it, but it's the truth, and that's what we're going to do here. Some of us treat others of us worse than others treat us. And I can say that with my own eyes. I've seen it. That is not to paint anybody with a broad brush,
I understand.
but just as though there are bad, I don't know, there are bad servers at a restaurant. We're all humans, and we bring whatever it is that our culture is that we have been taught to know and think and feel into our profession sometimes. Sometimes for the betterment of the profession, sometimes not. I wish I had a better answer for you, but I don't know human nature enough to answer that question. Yes, sir.
And what you're teaching now is a way to get around that human nature. In other words, if a cop stop you, don't get in an argument with him because you don't know what his background is.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Hold that thought. The first thing that I can find out about you when you open your mouth is your attitude. Everything else is going to be based and built upon interaction with you. I know my rights. Why are you stopping me? I come down this road all the time. Okay, pick up your cop card. Somebody read number 1.
Stay cool and calm. When police feel threatened, they're more likely to react aggressively.
Say that again.
I thought I was loud. I'm not yelling at you.
Stay cool and calm.
Stay cool and calm. That's hard to do. Why is it hard to do? Because I may be scared only because I've been a cop am I able to speak the way I'm speaking. I just want to go home. This is a job for me. 8 hours, I want to go home. I'm not looking for anything other than what I'm supposed to do with my job. But my peers who wear the blue have a certain expectation of me. Let me tell you how some police officers, I see your hands, sweetie. I'll be back. I'm going to tell you how some police agencies work. When you get out of the police academy and you are assigned to a particular part of town, wherever you are assigned, if you don't come back at shift's end with something along the lines of what that crime element is going on in that area, you must not be doing your job. I'm not talking about any particular, but I know what my experience has been. Well, if you're in an area where there's a lot of speeders and we're getting our income from all those speeding tickets, we expected you to come back at the end of your shift with a certain amount of speeding tickets. I am not here to disparage our law enforcement community.
Nope.
Because defund the cops is not what you want, folks.
Nope.
It is not.
Lawlessness.
No, I had a,
Yes.
well, not anymore, but I used to get stopped a lot.
Yeah, we know
So for me, that usually works is because when I was in school, they taught us in law class, they tell us what to do and what not to do. One of the things that really stick with me is whenever you get stopped, make sure both hands are on the steering wheel. So I've always done that. But my personal touch has always been when the officer comes to the window, the first thing that I do, hands on the wheels, "Hi, Officer Jackson, how are you doing today?" So I'm usually polite to them, and that usually gets me away with a warning. I'm not saying for y'all to do that. It may not work for y'all.
You're a flirt.
I'm not flirting. No, I mean, the female ones that give me a heart. Yes, be pleasant, right. I'm very pleasant with them, and they give me a one. The female ones are usually pretty much don't want to hear that, but the male, doesn't matter what color they are. I've noticed that once I'm pleasant to them, I don't come across as being aggressive or anything. So I would say, "Hi, Officer so-and-so," and they ask me, "Why are you speeding?" Because I usually get stopped for speeding, you know. I have stopped since COVID, yeah, you know. So, so, you know, I'm just saying it's good because, like you said, you don't know what they're going through, and they don't know what we are going through. So it's best to be courteous to them, and that kind of dial it down a little bit sometimes.
So what are we trying to do? So before I go further, finish reading what you were reading for number one, please.
When police feel threatened, they're more likely to react aggressively.
Same with you, right? That's fair. Is there another part?
That's it.
Okay.
For number one.
So if you fail the attitude test, it just goes downhill from there. Number two, somebody read it.
Don't get tricked. Police can legally say anything to get you to talk.
They train each other in the police academy how to get you to talk. Okay, officer, I know you're just trying to do your job, but I don't answer questions and I don't consent to searches. Well, I'm just trying to get this over with so you can go home and sleep in your own bed tonight. Well, where are you coming from anyway? Where are you going? That's a nice car. They train each other. They have classes on how to get you to talk because many, many people are going to classes like this and learning how to assert, I want you to remember that word, assert your constitutional rights. You have constitutional rights when it comes to a police stop, but you must assert them. I choose to remain silent, not consent to searches until I speak with my attorney. You got to say both. They may continue to talk and ask you, but here is what Obama did that I love more than anything else that he did in his administration, which was require all police officers to wear that body cam. Now, do some of them turn them off? Do they mysteriously fall on the ground? Yeah. But just the ones that have been able to have their circumstances turn out better for them because of that camera is immeasurable. Nothing's perfect, but it's better than it was. Yes, ma'am.
So when you say, officer, in a polite way, officer, I have the right to remain silent, or when we say that, is it possible they will take that in the wrong way? And I don't know, what could they do to us after that? Like if we remain silent, can they still drag us off to jail or?
Everybody hear that? Mm-hmm. Can we control that police officer's actions? Can we make him or her just go on about their business or make them do anything? No. What we're trying to accomplish by what we're talking about here is to lower the temperature of that stop. So whatever he or she brings to the table, if you meet it with a pleasant, and trust me, I know this is hard, particularly if you know you're being screamed at and you haven't done what that person said you're doing, and now it's incumbent upon you to be the kind person. I get it. Most of our law enforcement agencies, from the federal, state, county, city, metropolitan, local, school police, do not take enough classes in de-escalating human behavior. So, if they don't have the skill, then we better have it. All we're trying to do is make that the interaction between that law enforcement officer and us as pleasant and as non-irritating to that person as we can. It is hard to do. It's hard to do. And it shouldn't be our responsibility to do it, but it is. And what I want to tell our children, no, I'm not going to tell it just yet. What's the next one? Anybody with a mic?
I have the mic, but I'm not going to hog the mic.
Well, go ahead. We'll forgive you this time.
Okay. Determine if you're under arrest. Calmly ask, officer, am I free to go?
So somewhere, and don't ask me where, it is written that you have the right to have the interaction with a law enforcement officer to last a reasonable amount of time. Don't ask me how many minutes a second it is, I don't know. But they're asking you all kind of crazy questions. At some point, you can say to them, officer, am I free to go? And he may or she may say, have a nice day. And you get on your little horse and leave. If they say, no, you're not free to leave, then you are being detained if you're not in cuffs already. I'll save it for another time, but we are going to go through a complete lawful police stop where we're going to go out in the parking lot, and I'm going to play cop, and you're going to play driver, and I'm going to test you. And you get the opportunity, you can film it, take it with you, so that you can have it to see what it looks like whenever you want to review it. Who we got? Got a question, young lady? I think it's a mouth. Is this making any sense to anybody? Is it helpful? Okay, what you got?
So my question is, like you said, being detained. Can they drag you out of your car just to be in handcuffs, or like, do they have to act? Because I know they have to ask you, sir, step out, or somebody step out the car before they even put you in cuffs and search you down. But do they drag you out of the car?
Okay. Everybody hear that? We as citizens are duty bound to adhere to the lawful order of a police officer. Period, the end. If they stop you and say, hey, I need you to get out of your car, you need to get out of the car.
Doesn't matter if there's nothing.
Say again?
It doesn't matter. I mean, they're saying to come out the car.
Yeah.
Why?
So here's what is the flip side of we who know how to assert our constitutional rights in the company of law enforcement. Sometimes we can get long-winded, or sometimes you're just avoiding doing what they're telling you to do. Now, getting out of the car, yes. Why do they want you to get out of the car? Anybody know? What are the responses that we've heard over time as to why they want you to get out of the car? For their safety and yours. Okay, let me ask you this. Why do people not want to get out of their car? Fear? Fear what's going to happen next? Yeah. I get it. We don't know. I'm going to say this, and you're not going to like it because I don't like it. On the side of the road, cops are king. Sorry. On the side of the road, cops are king. I don't like it. I don't like it. But what I need my young people to know and my adults is you do not want to set a situation up where now they are perceiving themselves as having to put hands on you. Is it a police officer's job to put hands on you? Is it a police officer's job to put hands on you? When you defy or do not follow a lawful order, they are authorized to apprehend, detain, and arrest you. Do cops get scared? Give me an example of why a cop might be scared. You could be armed. Size, all kinds of things. Again, we don't know what's in that person's mind. But to the answer to the question is, do you have to get out of the car when they tell you to get out of the car? Please do. Please do. Keeping that positive attitude if you can. It's going to be hard. That's why we want to show you how to practice. Because they practice how to get you to talk. We need to practice on how to remain silent. Does that make sense? I mean, I can tell you all day long, but until you do it yourself, you don't know what it sounds like or feels like. Yes, ma'am?
When they ask you to get out of the car, could you ask a question? Could you ask why?
Yes, but ask why while you're getting out of the car.
Yes, I asked why.
Yes. So, again, let's refresh. What are we trying to accomplish? We're trying to accomplish getting home safely and in one piece. Is it going to, can they degrade you with their language? To get you out of your comfort zones where you were nice, but now you feel like you've been insulted? Might they want to, and I'm not saying all police officers do this, might they want to incite you to the point where they can take you to jail? So we have to develop some skills on how to have that not happen to us. But first of all, we have to know our constitutional rights. Let me see your card, sweetie. Fourth one, you have the right to remain silent. If interrogated or questioned, calmly say, "Officer, I choose to remain silent until I speak with my attorney." Now, if you say just the first part, "I choose to remain silent," until you say, "I want to have legal representation," he or she can lawfully continue to talk to you. What they're supposed to do is leave you alone and not question you anymore until either your attorney shows up or an attorney becomes part of the process. Yes?
Oh, I had a question about stepping out of the car. Let's say it's 1 in the morning, it's dark, because there's a street that has no light. I'm a female.
Yes.
And they're saying, step out of the car, and I don't feel comfortable.
I get it. I'm going to tell you a quick story about that. I have a niece that graduated from Spelman years ago. She was in North Georgia while she was in school, middle of the night, no lights, nowhere, and saw a blue light in her rearview mirror. And she did all the things that I'm going to tell you about, but she drove to a safe space, a lit space, which was about 4 miles from where she first saw it in her rearview mirror. She pulled over into a convenience store, and that car kept going. There are people, sick-minded people, that's what I call them, who will go and get one of those lights, stick it on the car, go to a dark place, pull over a female, and have their way. So the fear part, let's talk about that. I'm going to tell you what I do on a police stop. You ready? Okay, here we go. Middle of the night, North Georgia, no lights around. I see this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my flashers to let that police officer know that I have acknowledged him or her. You with me? Yeah. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the dome lights on. That police officer wants to know, okay, what's going on in that car? How many people are in there? Now, I'm calling 911 myself. Hey, I'm on such and such a street in the middle of nowhere. There's a police car behind me. I'm not sure if it's real or not. I'm going to pull over in the soonest, safest place. They may tell you, oh yeah, he's one of our officers. He's called your tag number in already. So, okay, now I feel a little bit better about that. I'm gonna put my phone down. I'm gonna go, now let me tell you this. State of Georgia says somewhere between 150 feet or 200 feet, you're supposed to pull over, unless it's otherwise unsafe. Beyond that, that police officer is not happy with you. But we want to be safe, right? Because it may have been the same person that pulled over my niece. Drive slowly, certainly don't drive fast. Drive slowly, pull into hopefully a police station or a convenience store, somewhere that's well lit, hopefully with cameras. That'd be nice. When they pull over, when I pull over, I'm going to open my window just about this much, and I'm going to say to him or her, but here's what I've already done. I've turned the car off, so now he or she knows that I'm not trying to flee. I'm going to put my keys on the dashboard. I'm going to have my hands not just on the steering wheel this way, but backwards, both hands, so that they can see I do not have anything in my hand. Officer, okay, I'm gonna add something to it. I carry a gun. Officer, I just want you to know I have a permit to carry in the state of Georgia. How would you like for me to proceed? Do not say, if you're a person who has a permit to carry or you're carrying lawfully a firearm in the car, officer, I got a gun in here. Gun is a trigger word Possibly what you didn't see was his accomplice that's on the passenger side, and all he or she heard was the word gun. So, words matter, right? That's why we don't want you to use the word gun. I have a permit to carry in the state of Georgia. How would you like for me to proceed? I'm keeping my hands where they are. He or she may say, okay, you don't touch yours, I won't touch mine. But followed their directives. Now I have a gun. He says, well, where's your gun? I have it on my right side. Am I doing this? I have it right here, sir. Bad idea, right? So here's a little cliche that we made up. If you're gonna talk, don't move. If you're gonna move, don't talk. I have had them ask me, say, well, just take it off of your side. No, sir. No, I will let you take it off of me. I'm not taking it off of my side because it's loaded. There's too many things that can go wrong, his misinterpretation of him, me pointing it to him, whatever. Officer, I'd rather we think of another way for you to get this firearm off of me other than me handing it to you. Can I step out? The whole gun thing, I added it because it muddies the water a little bit. But the takeaway is, be respectful, keep your attitude in check, give him or what he or she wants as it relates to lawful orders. Nothing crazy like, oh, well, you kind of cute, why don't you step out? No. That is not where we want to go with the conversation. How would you like for me to proceed? And wait for his or her answer. We'll step out of the car, I'll disarm you, and we'll take it from there. Is that anywhere near what you, because I think that's my legal community over there.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Question here.
Yes.
So when they stop you and they give you the ticket, do you have to sign it? Because I've been threatened to where they said if I don't sign it, they're going to take me to jail.
They can. In
Okay.
Georgia.
No,
So
this wasn't in Georgia. This was in Florida.
Okay, so let me talk about what I'm talking about.
Okay.
All I'm talking about is Georgia.
Okay.
So in the state of Georgia, you're not signed, it's not an admission of guilt. It's just saying that you have received the information and you know when your court date is.
Okay.
Many of people end up in jail just because they decided not to sign that thing.
I didn't want to sign it.
Yeah.
But once you said jail, I signed it.
If you read it, folks, read stuff. No, seriously, reading is fundamental. If they hand something to you before you sign it, read it. It tells you this is not an admission of guilt. Yes. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So question on the attorney and lawyer subject. Do you need to how do you say it? Do you need an attorney at all times? Because by the time you turn 18, let's just say by the time you turn 18 and you're on your own, should you at least get an attorney? So just in case they said if you don't have an attorney and they put you in handcuffs, and that you don't have an attorney, that you will either be given one or you will have to call your attorney or lawyer.
Good question. Everybody hear her question? Who needs an attorney? We all do. We all need, if you don't have an attorney that is going to answer your call at 1 o'clock in the morning, you need to get one. Now, there are many different ways to do that many times a lot of people don't know that it even exists. It's called criminal liability insurance, so that you pay $15 a month and you have a circumstance where you need legal advice, you can call them and ask them, hey, you can ask them all the questions you're asking me. because that is your attorney. And if you end up in a circumstance where you're on the side of the road being arrested, you can say, hey, here's my attorney's information, and they give you a little card that you can give to the police, or you can read it to them. There's too many ways that you can get an attorney for little. I'm gonna call it, it's not a retainer relationship, but you need access to a trained, experienced criminal defense attorney. They are not all the same. Even though some of them are criminal defense attorneys, the training that they get. Good question. She asked, how do you know? Good question. There's such a thing as a good guy criminal defense attorney and what I call scum of the earth criminal defense, where they learn how to use all the tricks and get you to plead out and all that. That's not what you want. There are attorneys out there for me and you who are trying to do the right thing by coming to these kind of classes and learn how to interact with law enforcement and how to do the right things and don't have a rap sheet 3 feet long, where you can get an attorney to be on your retainer for like $15, $20 a month. She said, how? I'm your guy. I have access to all those companies, and we'll talk about that. Yes, ma'am.
Can the police legally tell you to get out the car, handcuff you, and put you in the back of the car without telling you why?
Yes. Here's how. First of all, here's how you end up. Unless you have some sort of warrant, criminal warrant out for your arrest, you should probably be okay. Big little word, probably. But where people get in trouble is they snatch away from, even just a little bit. Oh, you're resisting arrest. Now I got you. I cannot guarantee you that if you do all the right things that we're talking about in this room right now, that's gonna work for you. But what we do want is that on that camera, it shows you doing all the right things. So that if and when you do need an attorney, he's got good facts. A lot of people say, oh, I'm gonna do what I wanna do, I've got an attorney, he'll get me out of it. Nope. Attorneys can't change facts. If you act a fool around the cop, touch him, push him, resist him, spit on him, you know that's an assault. Spitting on folks is an assault. If you resist those cuffs or resist him trying to get you out of that car, they are lawfully able to break the windows on that car and extract you from it. I don't like it, but we're telling the truth here, okay? Did I answer your question? Okay. I don't like the answer, but we're keeping it real here. What's your question?
Do you have to have an age to like hire an attorney or a lawyer?
She said, do you have to be a certain age to hire an attorney? So in the state of Georgia, that's signing a contract. You've got to be a certain age. I think it's 18 in the state of Georgia in order for you to enter a legal contract. So yeah. But your family, with those programs that I told you about, some of them cover the kids as well, as long as they're still living in the household with the family. Yes, sir.
I got a question.
Please.
We talked about the whole stopping traffic and all that stuff. What if a cop comes to your house and you didn't call them, but yet they want to search your home?
Good question. You have the same legal right not to let a police officer search your property or enter your property. It's only 3 ways that they can lawfully enter your property. You invite them in. So you got to knock on the door and say, hey, this is Officer such and such, and we're here doing a community service, and we just want to let you know that we're here and want to come in and introduce ourselves. No, sir. First of all, don't open the door. You are not lawfully required to open the door unless they, through that peephole, they can say, we got a warrant. Many people are tricked into letting the police officer into their home. So if you open that door and he puts his foot in that door so you can't close it, and you close it on his foot, that's an assault on the police officer. Folks, I don't like this either. So, knock on the door. Hey, may I help you? You're talking through the door. Hey, may I help you? Yeah, Officer such and such. We want to come in. We're just doing a community outreach, yada, yada, yada. Thank you. Come back another day, or whatever. Or just no thank you. Many of us think we have to open the door when they knock on the door. Another way is that they have a warrant. We've got a warrant for such and such, either to search the property or to look for a particular person. What if the information on the warrant is not right? So, ask for the warrant. Open the door, just enough for the warrant to come in. If you have a chain lock on the door, keep that chain locked. In the state of Georgia, that is still technically a closed door. Can I see the warrant? Take a look at it. You're going to be doing this. Read the warrant. How many times have we seen it on TV where they went to the wrong house? Asking for the wrong person. If they're looking for a person, the person's name needs to be on the warrant, spelled properly, and then they could come in. It's either going to say that they're looking for a person or to search a specific area of the house for whatever it is they're looking for. The only other way they can get in your house lawfully is what's called under exigent circumstances, where there is some sort of threat to the local community. I don't know, there may be an active shooter that they're looking for, and they have reason to believe that they're in your house or whatever. Those are called exigent circumstances. But too many times, we let them in. So they come in, and they're sitting down, and they're looking around, and they're not looking for anything in particular, but then they say, I think I smell some, and they pull out shake, this big. Ma'am, does this belong to you? No, my nephew, it may belong to him, but guess who's going to jail?
You are.
You are. Here's a case that comes to mind that I want to share with you. Some of our community are on Section 8 housing. If you are found with illegal substances in your house, you can lose your Section 8 opportunity. That's huge. You're getting put out of your house for something that you didn't even know you did.
So I have a follow-up question with that.
Yes, sir.
What about no knock warrants?
No knock warrants. That means that, remember we said they knock on your door first? They ain't got to knock. They've got authorization from a judge somewhere that has, Judge, we know that Pookie and Ray Ray are in there right now, or there is how many pounds of this illegal substance there right now, and we need to go right now because if we wait, they're going to move it away. They ain't got to knock. They pull all kinds of stuff. They can break your door in, pull your fence down. They're coming in without knocking.
One second. He's first. Go ahead. Mic to him.
I have a question. So if a police officer pulls you over, may you ask for their police number?
Yes, you can, but try to do so respectfully. It's okay for you to get the information. It's the officer, what's your name and badge number? But don't, I'm gonna sue you. What's your badge number? What's your name? I'm gonna get my attorney. Because you have messed up on the attitude part. So, yes, get all the information, the description of him, something that you can remember. His badge number, it's okay to say, officer, what's your badge number and name? They're supposed to give you that. But you can't make them. If they say, that's not relevant right now, or whatever, I'll give it to you later, or wait. Try to find out what it is. But what are we trying to accomplish? We're trying to get some good information on that body cam that's going to help our attorney later. But if you're acting the fool on camera, your attorney's going to have a hard time doing his or her job to apply your constitutional right and the laws of the land.
Go ahead, Sister Rank.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not directly related to the topic, but you did mention it. A no-knock warrant. You go to the wrong house. You break down my door. Who's paying for it?
You are.
You're in the wrong house. You broke down my door. Who's paying for it?
Good question. I don't know. Now, can you sue? Can you sue for that? But here's the deal. In some jurisdictions, in some states, you need permission from the government to sue the government.
Good luck with that one.
She said that don't make sense. I don't like it either. What are our laws designed to do?
Supposed to protect the citizens.
Our laws are in place to maintain order. Period. The end. They are not designed to be fair. You know where you get fair conversations? At your house talking with your mama and your daddy.
If that much.
Where you can have a little negotiating room. Mama, daddy, that ain't fair. Okay, maybe we can talk about that at the house. Now, you leave mama and daddy's house and you get a job, and what are those things called? Those are called policies and procedures. And if you violate those aren't laws, because the government didn't make them, but guess what? You ain't coming back to work. Now you in general public, and you don't know the laws of the land, and you violate a law, whether you know it or not. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. You've heard that. They can put you behind bars. Yes, sir.
Final question. And this really is towards our young people. Young people catching a ride with a friend, being dropped home or going back to school, and so on and so forth. In the car, they find some illegal substance in there. What happens to that passenger who's just catching a ride, going to school, or being taken home?
Good question. There's a legal term called conspiracy. And loosely it means that if I know that you're doing the wrong thing and I'm with you when you do it, I can be charged with the same thing you did. Just because I'm with you.
About it or something?
Say it again, say it again.
Can you as you're in there and you see the substance and you call the police, can you tell them about it, or you're going to still be charged with it as well?
Okay, you got some options, because the cops haven't shown up yet, right? I'm going to tell you what your option. Can you call the cops? Yes. Here, let's talk about another option. You get out the car. You call mama and daddy and say, hey, look, I'm not comfortable with the folks I'm riding around with. Can you come get me something? If you know where you are, you comfortable taking the bus? Folks, every day, so not all situations that have to do with the violation of law make it on the news. You know what's happening on the regular with our kids? What Gary just talked about, where you get in a car with somebody and they say, well, you know what, we're gonna stop over here, and they go rob something, or point a gun at somebody, or got some stuff in the car that you didn't know about. So is it possible that you are charged with the same thing that that person did or was in possession of? Yes. And you don't have to know. You can plead all day long. I didn't know, I didn't know, I didn't know. This is a lot of information to retain. It's a lot of information. I did not learn this overnight, and you're not going to remember all this stuff. But I encourage you. There's a book I want all y'all to get. Y'all ready? It's called When the Cops Come Knocking. It is designed, it was written by some friends of mine. They were local attorneys, Trinity and Trinity and Travis Townsend, thank you. Trinity, they have a law firm. Years ago, they wrote the book called When Cops Come Knocking. You can buy the pamphlet copy. You can download it from the internet for like $3. Yes, sir.
Her hand's up, and then Sister Cece, and then I have another question. Short.
So what's the purpose of the cop cards that you gave us?
It's a reminder of what not to do when you're interacting with a cop. Can I say this? Folks, don't touch cops. Don't snatch away from cops. I get it. You may be doing all the right things according to what you think is right. But when you fail the attitude test, everything else falls away.
Sister Cece.
I want to ask a question about the body cam. Is it out of place for me? Okay, if I'm stopped, can I request, or can I say, well, officer, is your body cam on? Just to check, just to make sure.
You can. Yes, you may. Can you make sure your body cam's on? Sure. Are they going to change their behavior? We still don't know, but yes, you can. So, do you ever wonder how to get access to what's on that body cam? Did you know you can get access to it? You can go to that person's precinct and ask for what's called a Freedom of Information Act form. It's a FOIA, Freedom of Information. That's how all these news stations and YouTubers are getting all this stuff for their access. So you can, and your attorney can get access to what's on that body cam.
Before Tori goes, let me just say this to answer the question of this young lady. A few years ago, our youth leader had invited this young lady to come and speak to the youth, and she was in a car with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend had just committed armed robbery, was doing like 98 to 100 miles an hour on the 285. A squad of cars of cops after her. When they pulled them over, she got body slammed to the ground. She was also charged, and she got 137 years in prison. And she didn't do anything. And lucky for her, the judge that they were writing to basically had compassion, and they knocked down her sentence. I think it was like 3 years, something like that. But that was only because after a whole bunch of professors and teachers wrote letters for her, because she was an A+ student. She lost her ability when she wanted to become a licensed beautician. She couldn't get a license for that, because that right there was still on her background, although the judge knocked down her sentence to 3 years from 137 years. So you gotta be careful who you get into a car with, because it could mean being locked up or being free. Corey.
Okay, so my question was, it's just similar to the body cam. So let's say you're pulled over, and my phone has a magnet on it. So like, it's like, let's say my phone's mounted. Can I like record the interaction?
Yes. Okay. What you can't do is obstruct that officer's duties in order for you to use your camera. So if he says, put your hands behind your back, no, I'm gonna record you, he's gonna make you put your hands behind your back. But this cell phone camera thing, it has its place. It has its pros and its cons. But to answer your question, yes. Here's what I do. I have a dash cam that records what's going on in front of my car. There's a camera in the back that's recording, and it records everything, video and audio, that's going on inside and fairly close outside as well. Body cams can work for and against you. As with any, a lot of people think that body cams and cell phone cameras, that's my way out. It's going to be, but here's the flip side of that. When you take that body cam and put it in front of a judge or a jury, they get to say, well, you did this, but you could have done that. So body cams and video can also work against you. I'm not telling you which one to do, but just be mindful of that. Yes, sir.
To piggyback on what Brother Gary said, this was many years ago when I was like 16. I've only really had like a police officer assault me one time in my life. And it was honestly because of who I had in the car. It had nothing to do with me. So to piggyback on what Brother Gary said, sometimes it's not whose car you're getting into, but who you are letting in your car. I had a situation where I was going somewhere. It was literally up the street, and a schoolmate said, hey, let me ride with you while you go. I figured it was no big deal. I should have known better, but I was 16 or whatever, but he sometimes would carry certain substances. And when the cop pulled me over, I'm like, well, it's no big deal. I don't do that. It's whatever. The cop came, and when he was coming, he was like, hey, bro, I don't know if I might have carried such and such with me. I said, what? And the cop knocking on my glass. I started to freak out then because I didn't know that person at the time was carrying that. So I like to say, to piggyback on what Brother Card is saying, talk to who you're bringing with you to anywhere, even if it's down the street. Because I wasn't even going far. That's what really annoyed me about it. I was literally going 10 minutes away. And it turned in, I had to get out the car and all this stuff. So be mindful of even your so-called friends. Because me and him weren't even close. I just figured, hey, he want to come with me, I'll take him. So be mindful of who you even let in your car that you're taking somewhere.
If you had to do it again, what would you say to him before he got in your car?
I would have just said no. I would have just said, I got it, I'll be back.
I don't care what kind of excuse, whether he likes it or not. Here's what I've been known to say. Yeah, you can ride, but if you got something illegal, I'm snitching. Sorry, I'm not going to jail for you. Not knowingly, not willingly. Yes.
So my friend asks if the person you're with has illegal substance or something like that, and they say that you didn't know, what would happen?
Let me see, make sure I understand. Your friend has something they shouldn't have, and they say that you don't know,
Yes.
but you do know.
No, like you don't know at all.
Oh, you don't know. Well, when you do find out, tell the truth. I'll snitch on you. I'm sorry. I'm telling. I'm going to tell.
There's a question that's been asked from a gentleman in here. Remember the shooting of this young lady that she had found? She heard that there was someone walking around her apartment, and the cops came, and she had that container of water. That's the legal team. I should have asked them. And she got shot. What should she had done in that scenario to prevent from being killed? I mean, she's gone now. But
Okay, so mental health is a reality in our communities, right? Let's start. I want to address that part first. Do we have the same expectations of people who have mental conditions as those who are not?
No.
So, for a person that does not have those type of challenges, can I address that? Can I address it that way? Okay. What do they say? The eyes are indicators of the
windows of the soul.
Windows to the soul. Your hands are indications of your intentions. I, as a police officer, I'm looking at your hands. When I walk down the street, when I get out of the car and dudes say, hey man, you got $1? I'm looking at his or her hands. She called, that was a terrible, terrible situation. I'm not going to comment on what he did, but in terms of what we would like to see you do is to keep your hands where that person can see you. You don't have to do this, but keep your hands in a place where he or she can see that you do not have anything in your hands, and if you do have something in your hands, put it down. That's as good as it gets. That's as much as we can control. We can't control what that police officer is gonna do or not do. Yes, ma'am.
So what if you didn't know that you were riding with somebody that had somebody illegal, that has something illegal?
When you do find out, remove yourself and go tell somebody that you know, love, and trust, hopefully your parents, and let them make the decision as to what you should do from there. Does that make sense? If you are able to make it home, can you make it home? Don't get back in the car with them. Find somebody else to hang with. You can tell them, hey, look, I don't know what's going on in your life, but I'm not with what you're doing. And if you keep it up, me and you ain't gonna be like we used to. Or you could just say, whatever is in your heart to say, so that, hey, you don't end up there again. But when a lot of people say that knowledge is power. I disagree. Knowledge is potential power. If you don't use it, what good is it? If you don't, like Kamala said, do something. When you get the information, do something with it. Guys, we've talked a lot of stuff today, and what we want to do is give you the opportunities to come back here on a regular basis so that we can put you in situations and help you talk through it and act it out so you can practice it just the way the police officers practice how to talk to you to get you to say certain things.
Got one more question. Arlene.
Can you go to jail if you have an open alcohol bottle?
Open carry, yes.
Yes.
So you guys know what open carry is? Open carry is if you have an alcoholic substance that has been opened, that's called open carry. Whether you drank it or not, it's opened. It can be, you could have drank it already, and there's that much at the bottom. Is that an open container?
Yes.
It's in a beer bottle, or, I don't know, a plastic cup. Still open carry, open container. Last thing, felonies. Felony in the state of Georgia and other places. If you could have been charged and caught a prison sentence of 365 days or more, that's a felony. When you have a felony on your record, one of the local bar associations did a study, and they say you lose somewhere around 40 legal and constitutional rights when you catch a felony. Top of the list, you can't vote. You said something along the lines of when she caught that charge, she couldn't be a hairdresser anymore. There's a whole list of businesses that if you have a felony in your background, you can't be a doctor. You can't be a judge. You can't be certain things. She said, you could be president. So make it make sense. I can't. So don't try to make sense of this stuff, folks. Just do what it takes for you to get home. Yes, ma'am.
Let's say the record is concealed. Can they have financial aid if they want to go to college? Will it be a way for them to find out that the record is concealed because they were underage?
So let's talk about, there's a term for that. It's not called concealed. What is it? Closed records. So once it's on your record, they may take it off your record in some places, but FBI, all the three-letter agencies, they have access to that. And at their will, say if you're going for a government job, it's gonna come up. Even if you've caught a charge and had it expunged or taken off your record, it's still available to be pulled up somewhere. Cool. Yes. Military's still part of our government. Good. Y'all have fun? I like coming in here talking to y'all. Did any of what I had to say make sense? Yes. Whew, thank you. Talk to him. So those of you who are parts of other organizations, get with Gary, and if you want this type of information to be shared with your groups, schools, fraternities, or that's where I've been going a lot. Our fraternities have been inviting consent to share this information, but it's needed. I thank you for the opportunity. Thank you so much, Gary. I appreciate you.
Good information? How many are you going to use it?
I need to see more hands. No, I need to see more hands. Thank you.
Well, let's just hope you never have to use it. But if you do have to use it, you're well armed, right? And one way to continue to be well armed is to continue to get practice. So the more of this that comes into play, please be here. Be on time. Because we actually had to wait about 15 minutes before we started. Yeah. Some of my legal friends were running late. Pastor, you have anything to say? Come on.
One thing you said is so true. And young people, you know, we don't want to listen to our parents. We think we know it all. Oh, you all don't know what you're talking about. I remember my mom knew a young man that stayed in trouble in the neighborhood. And he was a good friend of mine. And she said, son, I don't want you going to the store. Don't go anywhere with him. And I was thinking, why? She said, because he keeps getting in trouble. She says, if you get caught with him doing what he's doing, you're going to be in trouble. I didn't think much of it. But it resonated in my mind. So I was on my way to the store one day, and here he calls me. And I tell him, I said, look, I'm running the store for my mom. I got to go. He said, wait, let me go with you. I couldn't deter him. Man, we got up into the store, and I'm paying for the groceries that I bought for my mom, and I heard something behind me say, these little rings, you know, with little rubies and things on, don't cost much at all. I looked back and saw him getting ready to pull those things out of there. And he stopped, and he looked up at me and said, I'm usually quieter than that. I said, Lord have mercy. But I knew right then my mom knew what she's talking about. And I say that to say, when your parents tell you something, they know what they're talking about. They've been some places you have not gone.
Pastor, thank you. If I may close with this to Pastor's point, peer pressure is real.
Yeah, man.
They want you with them for whatever reason. But when that feeling comes that you shouldn't be, I call it itaji, I-T-I-I-G-A. Is this a good idea? When that little thing, I don't know, that's, you want to call it God whispering in your ear, call it God. Want to call it instinct, want to call it intuition, follow it, let it grow, and use it. Thank you so much.
Pastor. I don't know if most of you guys know who this gentleman is, but he's the head of our risk and safety head at the conference. And I would like him to say a few words.
I was delighted to get a call from Gary Sicard letting me know that that we were going to have this particular program, and it seems to be steered towards the youth, and we appreciate it. And thank you, sir, for coming. I really appreciate you coming here. Now, here's my proposal, Brother Sicard. I would like to have this same program put on at the studio at South Atlantic Conference office, where we project it out over the conference, and we have some people in the audience asking questions, the same kind of questions we asked today. You would pick them, and it would be nice if we could have you there, if you would come over. And so it's not just a private experience here at the church, but something that is projected across South Atlantic Conference. We would announce it, let them know, so that they can tune in and play, and have it there so they can play it over and over again. Because these things that you talked about today are very, very important, very critical. Our youth need to know. So thanks again for what you've done. Appreciate you.
Guys, you know, this world is getting more dangerous as the day goes by. And yes, knowledge is power, but it's only powerful if you're going to use it. You have to have every which way, every idea, every resource in order to protect yourself from the things that are going on. Because the devil's not after the world. The devil's after you and me. We who proclaim to be God's children is who he's after. And he will lay all the traps and use anyone that he can to get you. Even the smartest man that ever walked this earth, Solomon, was co-host. The strongest man ever, Samson, was co-host. You guys are no match for the devil, and neither am I. So the more knowledge we have to protect ourselves, let that be. Marilyn, you got one more question? Stand up. Let everyone see you. I will speak to you. You can speak to me. I'll get you in contact with powers that be. All right? Most likely the last Sabbath in September. So we're going to try to do this every fourth Sabbath until January. And if we want this to continue throughout the 2025, we will let Mr. Stone know. Amen? Amen. Amen. So let's close out in prayer so I can dismiss you guys. Let's pray. Loving Lord, it is only by the power and the love of Jesus Christ that we're even able to stand here today. We thank you so much for all the information that has been shared. Yes, we know that knowledge comes from you, but we know that if we don't use that knowledge, what good is it to us? We thank you for Mr. Stone's willingness, and we thank you for his knowledge that he has to share with us. Young people, the evil one has the desire to sniff you out. But you know, in the hands of God, you are the most powerful element that could have ever existed in this world. Don't let the enemy use you. Don't let the enemy use friends and others into coercing you to do things or even seem that you're doing things. You need to be more like a Daniel or Joseph, or 3 Hebrew boys. God has called us and you for a special time as this, in this time that we're living in. Do not let God down. Do not let yourself down. Do not let your parents down. We ask you, Lord, to please fortify the mind of our young people to be able to wear off the fiery darts of the evil one. And when all is said and done, we promise to give you the honor, the glory, and the praise for Christ's sake. Amen.